You're listening to China Africa Talk.
Jambo, ni Bridget akikuletea kipindi kinachohusiana na China na Afrika.
Vous écoutez le dialogue sino-africain avec Bridget.
Everything China, everything Africa.
Olá, você está ouvindo China Africa Talk com Bridget.
سيداتي وسادتي مرحبا بكم في الحوار الصيني العربي مع بريدجيت.
Kenya is accelerating its infrastructure development with a major highway expansion backed by Chinese expertise and financing. The key Mombasa-Nairobi corridor, a vital trade gateway to Uganda and other inland nations, is being transformed from a single-lane road into a modern 4 to 6 lane highway. The project represents a significant investment of $1.5 billion and is being delivered through a public-private partnership.
This shows China's gradual maturity of financing big infrastructure projects.
It also reduces the burden of the government coming to borrow loans.
How does such collaboration create more efficient trade corridors across East Africa? And what does it signal about high-quality Belt and Road cooperation? To discuss this further, I'm now joined by Ju Ya-xiong, Associate Professor at Zhejiang Normal University, and Francis Mtalaki, Senior Coast Region Reporter, Kenya. Gentlemen, welcome. Now, Mr. Mtalaki, President Ruto says the highway expansion project is one of the most transformative projects in the country. Could you elaborate on how this project will be a game changer for Kenya's economy?
I think from where I sit, President Ruto and his administration and Kenya at large, they have taken a very decisive step towards improving infrastructure. And you would understand from the ground here, the Rironi Mau Summit project, which is a 175-kilometer highway, is very key. One, in terms of reshaping the country's economic landscape and also to strengthen Kenya's position as the regional trade hub, because where the road is situated, you understand that 40% of the country's trade traffic flows towards that route. And this not only benefit the people around the Rift Valley, the upper region of the Kenyan territory, but also it gives the relief to the Kenya Ports Authority, where I reside in the city of Mombasa.
Okay.
And you realize that the cargo flow of this goes right from the port of Mombasa all the way to the inland port in Nairobi and also the Naivasha. Then the missing link that was there, which now will be sorted out if all goes well by 1st of June in 2027, would be now that the road transport between Rironi and Mau, because the traffic flow will be better. We've been experiencing a lot of traffic flow along that stretch. And so we expect once the road is complete, then the traffic flow will be better. Also, business will be thriving along that stretch. It will also give us another opportunity to learn, to see, and to experience also some tangible evidence that we can see from the infrastructure point of view in terms of the public-private partnership deals that we've had so far. There are not so many, but the most successful one will be the Nairobi Expressway. Almost Kenyans and I would want to see another replica of the same, because we've seen the Nairobi Expressway being a game changer to Nairobi in terms of traffic. And this one would be another one in terms of making Kenya to continue stamping on her stand in the regional hub. And to be specific on the Mau, that stretch is very key because of the traffic that flows both of the Kenya as a country and also the regional hub.
Professor Ju, when there's projects like this, a lot of people always want to understand the financing. The financing of this project is split into two phases. How is the financing model for this highway different from China's previous infrastructure development projects in Africa?
Yeah, I believe we have PPP, public-private partnership involved for financing this project. And when such a big project is split into two, and it will ease the burden of financing such a big project. I believe this also shows China's a gradual maturity of financing big infrastructure projects. Previously, we trust with our concessional loans to such similar big project. We are providing infrastructure ahead of the situation where the country is really able to build such infrastructure by themselves. This is similar to Chinese own experience. For example, when we, over the 90s or 80s, China started to build some roads, and these roads turned out to be toll roads. But based on our own finance or the government's finance for such roads, it is difficult. So we have some private companies involved. They have loans from international banks. And after completing the loans, they charge for every vehicle passing by on the road. Mm-hmm. So in that case, infrastructure have roads to facilitate transportation. Come to this project, we realized with this newly introduced financing model, we are sure, because here we have Chinese companies and also the local Kenya National Securities Fund involved in financing the project. And possibly, I believe there are very detailed arrangement for how, after this project is complete, the companies involved will be able to benefit from investing in such a project. And of course, the building of such a project is sure to benefit the Kenya people a lot, because this will facilitate its transportation within the country as well as to expand its transportation to the neighboring countries. And this will strengthen Kenya's position as an important hub for international trade, as well as its domestic trade.
Mr. Mtalaki, this isn't just a Kenyan road. It's a critical link in the corridor. How will this upgraded highway strengthen economic integration within the East African community and boost the competitiveness of landlocked neighbors like Uganda, Rwanda, and the DRC, for example?
Well, of course, first of all, looking where the road is situated and the trade between, let's say, Kenya and Uganda, already the two countries are doing business exceeding to $1 billion, basically driven by petroleum products, cemetery, machinery-ish products or equipments, and also agricultural products. You'd see that most of the goods or even services that are being rendered, this road will be able to deliver those goods or anything that passes through that channel in a quicker way, a safer way, and also the best way that one could look at it. And with better roads, that could also double, the Kenyans' opportunities that will come with it in the logistic front and also the manufacturing of ventures that I understand from the government and the private sector are looking at, because better roads will also lead to big companies camping there. And also, the area and the road is also closer to the SGR in Naivasha. So it also gives another point, that activity between the road transport and the railway transport, which already has seen goods heading to South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, and some parts of Tanzania, making their way to that route because it's much faster, easier, and better. If you have goods from the port of Mombasa, for example, and are able to reach Naivasha within 8 hours, and then the truck picks it from that end. Or let's say Uganda, for example, you lose like around 15 to 20 hours, as opposed to when you're trying to use the road transport alone, you'll take a number of 2 to 3 days. So you can deliver that within 24 hours. That is the situation on the ground. That is what it means for that road to be done, especially with the traffic that has been experienced. And I'm sure by the end of this road construction, we'll have reduced congestion and also improved accessibility to cities like Nakuru. Nakuru will now attract more tourists, will have more companies camping there, and also it will spur the real estate development. So there's a lot that comes with that road. Also, we're looking at the industrial base, which is in Nakuru for food processing and textile companies. Also, they are going to benefit. I know China also is good at pharmaceuticals and automotive assembly. That is an area the government is looking at exploring. So with this improved connectivity and the links between the Eastern African countries, you realize that that is the missing link that we had as a country, and this unlock a lot of potential.
Professor Ju, this is a flagship private-public partnership. What are the key advantages of this model over traditional procurement for a project of this scale, and how does it ensure the road is well maintained over a long period?
Again, is about the financial arrangement. We believe the PPP will help actually make it more cost efficiency and also ensure more on-time delivery, which is actually supported by a lot of studies worldwide by economists. Because studies show PPP projects are to save significant government costs and are more likely to be completed on time or ahead of the schedule. So that make people benefit as well as the government benefit the operation of such infrastructure. And also with the PPP, you see the government, the companies involved, and the other private partners, they are sharing the risk of the whole projects. Risks are allocated to the parties best able to manage them early on because they have to do very comprehensive evaluation as to how to manage the project, how to construct the project. So they themselves can also benefit from delivering such a project to the people and to the country involved. So the private sector bears design like a construction and operation risks, so which make them sensitive to the cost and the quality as well as how they are to themselves can better benefit from such projects. And of course, with the parties involved in the whole process of constructing and the maintenance, etc., this can guarantee the life cycle efficiency of the whole project. You know, the construction of the long-term operation are to be bundled, so they must make sure they can save all the costs necessary for the operation as well as the construction and how they can better benefit from the whole project, because we can always be sure when the private parties are involved, they are conscious about the profit making part of the project. And then here, the government's role also changed. You see, in the previous, if the government are to fund construction of such a project and are also in charge of the operation of such a project, they are themselves the funders as well as operators of the project. But now the government's role has changed to be the regulator of the project operation, and also they are in charge of the monitoring of the performance in terms of construction as well as of following operation and the maintenance of the project. In this way, we also see the quality of construction and also operation will be better guaranteed.
Mr. Mtalaki, can the PPP model become a blueprint for other much needed infrastructure projects in Kenya? What are the most important lessons we can learn from this partnership?
Some of the lessons that so far I think Kenya as a country we have learned from this kind of partnership. One is that the projects get completed in a faster way compared to bilateral agreements that usually are signed, and then you find also a number of obstacles that will come in the way and how they are resolved.
Right.
So that kind of approach, you find that it's much better. And also, I'll use the example of Nairobi Expressway, which is one of the examples that we've learned from it. How they are managed a little bit different, because there is a body entitled to just manage those projects.
Okay.
So there's a carefulness on how to manage that project so that economic viability has been achieved. And also you realize that from the public point of view, the level of appreciation is different. They view those projects like, it's a very different projects that they are able to pay. It's the level of appreciation that comes from the Kenyans themselves by using that facility is different. So those points, for me, they stand out. And there's one thing that Kenyans would want to see. If it's a project that has launched like this one, which was recently commissioned by the president, the groundbreaking, many people are following through to see when the deadline comes.
Right.
Will they be done? So that level of 360 turnaround comes with it. It's also a lesser burden to the government of the day to be able to deliver the project, and Kenyans or the people of East Africa to be able to enjoy the goodies of that project. And the last thing also, it also reduces the burden of the government coming to borrow and signing all about loans. So, the responsibility now shifts to the other side. Though it might be a longer deal, but in Africa, many people would prefer this kind of this. And the models have been set there. They are examples. And if they are successful examples, this is one of the examples that can be seen to be successful. So our expectation that this will be another successful project that will end up with the lives of the people of Kenya in terms of tourism, congestion, and just improving the mode of transport and connectivity, which is key for Kenya and as a region.
Professor Ju, how does China's involvement in Kenya's infrastructure development reflect the pursuit of high-quality Belt and Road Initiative?
In terms of this Belt and Road Initiative, as we know, there are 5 goals for the purpose of closer cooperation with all the countries involved. But you see, the most obvious thing here is the connectivity, hardware connectivity, that is infrastructure. And in the infrastructure area, you see China enjoys a very good competence in providing quality infrastructure, which is based on our years of experience of building very solid infrastructure at home. We built lots of railways, lots of expressways, tunnels, bridges, ports. All these finally have turned out to be our advantage in such areas. Now come to the project in Kenya, the highway expansion project. Yes. Based on our previous experience and the accumulated expertise in this area, so we're pretty sure China is able to deliver very tangible outcome based on this project, and the quality should be good. And then you'll see with the building of such infrastructure, we are sure to see a lot of growth, development in terms of its economic development, in terms of the surface area development, because the building of such infrastructure is sure to increase the people's income, particularly those who participate in the building of the project. Mm-hmm. And then with the more people clustering to the roadside, they are sure to see the clustering of business, which further will lead to the economic growth. And secondly, I believe it will foster the self-reliance of Kenya in terms of the skills and the technological transfer. In the process of building the road, we are sure to hire the local people, right, and we are sure to train them. The third, again, you'll see China's pursuit in China as well as in the whole world, pursuing green and sustainable development, also in line with Kenya's Vision 2030.
Still on that point of Kenya's Vision 2030, Mr. Mtalaki, how does this project align with Kenya's Vision 2030 development plan, the goals of the East African region, and the African Union's Agenda 2063?
Well, it aligns itself in very many aspects. One, looking at modernization of the corridor that also will increase the country's GDP contribution and estimates around by 20% within 5 years. So that's quite remarkable. And also creating a more balanced model for the national growth, as it has been explained in the Millennium Development Goals. Remember, we are just about to Vision 2030. Also, looking at the areas that also have been connected a little bit, Kenya's experience with large infrastructure projects such as the standard gauge railway, the SGR, which also was one of the bold decisions that continues to deliver some lasting impact. This road also is good to mention, it connects the western part of Kenya, which is largely seen as a renewal and a bridge to the regional integration, and also a catalyst for inclusivity, prosperity as a country. Because when you have this side of the coastline, we have the port and other amenities that are there. And on the other part, we also have different products and industries on the part of the country, and also some innovation and research in terms of technology and entrepreneurship. They also happen on the other side of the country. So looking at the Vision 2063 and also the SDG goals, you'll find that the 2 points are connected by this, mode of transport. And a good example is the food processing and the textiles of that. Now the country is looking at having those high value sectors to be stationed around that vicinity. It draws the picture of how we are able to achieve those 2 goals because there are very many cities around there like Busia, Malaba, which also could grow vibrant in terms of becoming the next trade hubs with hair warehouses, customs facilities, and also financial services would be at the center of it all. And so for it to happen, we need that road. It is very key. and it will also boost that connectivity, especially from Mombasa to Kampala, to reduce the cost by up to 20%. So looking at the regional trade and the goals that we are talking about, this is the impact that we are looking at.
Yeah.
And its significance, by the way, also extends beyond Kenya.
Okay.
You look, for example, in Kenya, Burundi, and South Sudan. These are economies that
Yeah.
rely on Mombasa port.
Yeah.
And that channel, by so being upgraded, that corridor,
Yeah.
it offers some efficiency and reliability, and it will also attract domestic and foreign investors to come in. And on the side of Nakuru, where the city in question here about the development, you will find that there's a lot of geothermal and solar power and renewable energies that are around there, and also production of issues like coffee, tea, and canned fruits that travel to different parts of Europe, Asia, and other continents. That's how important that road is in terms of Kenya being able to increase its GDP and also offloading some of the challenges that we've had as a country, as a society. So it's going to solve a lot by just pumping 170 billion shillings, Kenya shillings.
Professor Ju, you touched a little bit there earlier. You're talking about skills development and transfer. What specific structured programs are in place to ensure advanced engineering skills and modern project management technologies to Kenyan engineers and firms?
I believe such infrastructure projects are always accompanied with a skill and technology transfer. In order to do that, yes, like you see, we have lots of such education or training cooperation between China and the countries with such infrastructure projects. I believe on a pretty formal level, there are like formal academic and higher education partnerships. In China, I've seen multiple like Luban workshops.
Yeah.
And I see the first one Luban workshop in Kenya. And the Tongji University, Kenya International College of Engineers. And the Tongji University is famous for construction in China. It's Kenya International College is in cooperation with the University of Nairobi, which offers programs to help tackle challenges such as different technological standards,
Yeah.
and a shortage of localized engineering talents. And it is a pathway of integrating post-teaching internship in Chinese enterprises because, we need to have local engineers to construct and later on to maintain and also operating so that we will foster the international excellence in engineering education.
That's right.
And the second, we believe the enterprise is sure to provide then training for the necessary construction and later operation. So there will be enterprise-led vocational and technical training. China communications construction companies have like a local staff skill training center, which provides the necessary training for their staffs. And here in China, in Guangzhou Railway Polytechnic College's training programs for Kenya, they offer offline and online training programs for employees of Africa Star Railway Operation Company. And they have courses for these African students. In my college, the college I'm in, we have like a railway operation training base. We also are able to offer such trainings if necessary in the future. And of course, there will be also practical on-the-job knowledge transfer.
Mr. Mtalaki, beyond the obvious benefits to transport and logistics, what other sectors of the Kenyan economy stand to gain the most from this highway upgrade?
Of course, one of the key areas that they stand to gain is the agricultural sector, I should say.
Okay.
Because most of the agricultural products, especially those perishable goods like flowers, they come from that end. So would have an easy access, especially to the SGR. And also that road that connects cities like Nakuru and also Nairobi and also Gilgil and the cities that basically there's some of the small towns that are around there, they'll stand to benefit. Also, another key economic driver that is going to benefit as a result of this agreement is the tourism sector. You'd find that areas of Nakuru town and areas between Nairobi, Nakuru, Gilgil, and Naivasha, there are a lot of modern hotels. The tourism industry is going to benefit a lot. That area is going to be another tourism hub. And also those who are going to Hell's Gate in Nakuru, there's Nakuru National Park, will enjoy some visitor traffic thanks to this connectivity. And there are a number of businesses that will be happening there. So I would also expect some warehouses will be coming up. This will also strengthen the commercial aspect of the city, and these developments also will be seamless, and also moving those goods, especially those are coming to the port of Mombasa and also heading to the other side. So some of these economic drivers are ranging from the agricultural sector, which is largely in that place, and transportation and exportation of flowers and those perishable goods will stand to gain heavily as a result of this road, because now they are able to get to the port much faster, easier, and better. And also, we will see some reduced costs that come with it. And also, now we're looking at the domestic and international investors. They also will be streaming around that area because of improved connectivity. So we expect more workers, be it from China, be it from the other countries. They are all welcome. You'll just see an influx of investors in that as a result of that road.
Now, I'm going to ask both of you this question, but perhaps still holding on to you there, Mr. Mtalaki. This project will create new economic hubs around interchanges, and even just from the points that you've highlighted there earlier, what joint strategies are being considered to proactively plan for and stimulate local business growth and industrial development at these new nodes, ensuring shared prosperity along the corridor?
I think, first of all, from what I heard from the president and the government's plan, is to have local based investors taking up the first priority.
Okay.
And two, there is the issue of the special economic zones that are being worked on by the government. Nakuru being one of those areas that has a special economic zone and where the road sits in. So local investors are being encouraged to invest along that channel, along that road, along that project, so that they would be able to reap the first-hand benefits that come with it. And two, also, Kenya being a democratic country is also encouraging other investors outside Kenya, be it from the East African community, be it from Africa, be it from other continents or other countries. The government is encouraging any investor. Maybe they have a business idea. Kenya also boasts for one of the seamless structures that would make any foreign investor to be able to invest in Africa. So that one has also been guaranteed by the government. So under those aspects, we expect many Kenyans who are business oriented, business ventures that they have would also continue to invest there, because already we have seen the land acquisition along the channel has already increased, and it is through these projects that you'd see that the investment that has been put there has been able to benefit the locals themselves. And awareness that is happening on the ground to make sure that the locals benefit from whatever what they would want, and the economic activities that are around there, 70% trickles down to the common man in that area, so that they could have the advantage of the road and an investment being in that project. So under those aspects, I have seen the East African customs from Rwanda and Burundi and Uganda offices there. So that tells you East Africa and the businessmen around there are also flocking to take up a piece of the cake.
I know a lot of Chinese are investing in Kenya. How about your thoughts there, Professor Ju? What joint strategies are being considered to proactively plan for and stimulate local business growth and industrial development at these new nodes, assuring shared prosperity along the corridor?
You'll see the building of some highway is not just for the sake of building the ways. It should be always in combination with some strategic spatial planning or targeted industrial policies and inclusive partnerships. It should also be in line with the national development plans and also promoting international communication or transportation.
Right.
So I believe in order to make the best out of such a project, it's necessary to have integrated the spatial and economic planning for the nation, and together taking into consideration of the advantages of the neighboring countries. Particularly, like for example, interchanges nearby, you can anticipate the clustering of people from the rural area. Then maybe in the years to come, you'll see the emergence of towns and even cities. And with that, you need to plan in advance. Possibly we need to leave aside some land for schools, industrial parks. And if we are to design or plan industrial parks, so we'll also need to take into consideration whether do we have any local resources for the parks, or we are just making use of the improved transportation. So that need to be seriously considered. The second, possibly they can design special economic zones for its economic development. Yeah. And also, in order to ensure people can prosper from such a project, the government should also provide some necessary training to ensure a shared prosperity based on the improved infrastructure. In China, we also have some kind of a flyaway economy. Some cities, one is better developed economically, the other is poorer, but with a lot of surplus labor. Okay. So the more developed areas may encourage some of the local industries to relocate their production facility as in the poorer area with more people, so that the two places can share some of the revenues. And of course, by so doing, you see, the enterprises from the more developed area can enjoy lower cost labor and also lower cost land for their development. So actually, there are lots of such experience from China, but we believe that the building of such an infrastructure project should be in line with national development strategy in the long term.
Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you again for your time, Mr. Mtalaki and Professor Ju.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Listeners, you can subscribe to our online newsletter on CGTN or Substack to get more insights on China-Africa relations. Just search China-Africa Talk. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post it on social media or leave a rating and review. Thanks again. See you next time.